And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. We are streaming live to Twitch. I be your host, smAsho, and we're starting things out looking at the sun, the Rosetta Stone of cosmology, in 193 angstroms. And we do it on the daily in an effort to understand the physics and help you to do the same. We don't see many features here. 0 sunspots, very defined South Pole coronal hole, and a slightly enhanced solar wind coming in. Let's look at the LASCO C2. Now this is at Lagrange point 1 in between Earth and Sun on the SOHO spacecraft. And by the way, we see a coronal mass ejection about to kick off in the Earth-facing region. We'll explain it to you in a minute. First, we're looking at the LASCO C3 from the same view but zoomed out. And the coronagraph puts up a disk in between the instrument and the sun to block out the bright spots so we can see what's going on in the outer corona. By the way, just a quick note about YouTube. Props to YouTube once again for manually reviewing and not demonetizing the content. So please take a moment to press like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also please consider supporting the channel via our links. We've got smashomash.org, Subscribestar, BitChute, and Patreon links right there on youtube.com/smashomash. And there you can see our videos are actually still monetized. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to us on BitChute, and thanks to our new subscribers over there, as there will be exclusive content on all locations. And again, we're streaming this live to Twitch on purpose because the platform is so good. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you may be interested in doing so. I mean, I can't even get to 500 subscribers over there, followers, whatever you call it. And we use this to do critiques of a lot of things on the internet instantly, such as critiquing the COVIDiots who've been doing very foolish things.
COVIDiot level critical, critical, critical. COVIDiot level critical, critical, critical. We've got lots of COVIDiots who don't seem to leave.
Or perhaps you'd like to hear my pastoral and calming singing.
Touch my face! I want you to blow me! If you're a COVIDiot, I want you below me!
Yeah, also talking about quinine. Oh yeah, quinine. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, this tonic contains quinine? Oh no, quinine. Oh, did you know that 5G exacerbates the effects of quinine? Oh, it's very dangerous. Oh, vintage. Vintage.
Yeah, so we know that a lot of you folks don't like Instagram, Facebook, etc., and so sometimes we show the content on the Daily Space Weather videos. By the way, we participated in a poll here. Do you think an entire nationwide lockdown can defeat #coronavirus? 60.4% voted no, and they are correct. Next, we're going to look at the view from Stereo A, where we see the coronal mass ejection building. And what we're seeing is, from this view, we're seeing an extension of the corona out in this sort of direction. And as you can see, that is toward Earth. We'll have to wait until it releases to have any idea what it's going to do. But this looks like a coronal mass ejection to me. And you can see this region right here. That is the Earth-facing zone. Earth is out in this direction on the ecliptic plane. And that little sudden buildup there is likely to be a coronal mass ejection. And if you want to watch that throughout the day, head to the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center and head to page 7 of Solar. The default tab, page 7. The first entry will be the Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon. Let's go to Helio Viewer real quick. And I have made a custom image here of the solar North Pole region. And by the way, we'll be releasing a second video today. It's based on the drinking game that we posted on Easter. It'll have the full audio and video, special early release for subscribed stars and patrons. And then we will eventually list it and premiere it publicly on YouTube later this afternoon. Anyway, there's the North Polar region. Not a lot going on up there. Let's look at the fields real quick. There's 171 angstroms. There are the fields, and you can see nothing organized like a sunspot in terms of magnetism. And there's 304 angstroms. One filament down there in the southwest, looking interesting if you want to make yourself a custom video. Check out helioviewer.org. Here's another 48-hour image like we started out. This 171 angstroms view. And again, no sunspots. And you can see that active region setting over here in the northwest as well. And let's move on to more stuff. KP index at 3, and we may see this rise actually, as it looks like we're getting hit with a second coronal hole wind stream here, and the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, which is a good proxy for sunspot number. It's quite closely proportional. Discovered in 1947 in Canada with some World War II radio equipment. 10.7 centimeter radial flux, currently at 71 solar flux units. If you're wondering what we use for our planet charts, we use theplanetstoday.com, and I use the mobile version because it is the easiest to, it's the most simple view. So you can also use a desktop version, which includes lots of features that we don't use, because since it's the daily space weather, we don't want to overcomplicate things. Here's where things are currently. Here's where things will be in a week. And if you think that Nibiru is exerting backward pressure on Earth, on the magnetosphere, I'm going to draw a little image for you here, indicating where Nibiru may be located. Probably in here or in here. And it's probably creating a vast deferens like, well, we won't, I guess I better stop. Is it too graphic? Next, we're looking at the planet, thesky.in-the-sky.org, as I try to learn how to speak the English language. And we are looking at a sky chart here. You can see the Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars all rising in succession there in the eastern sky. If you've got a low horizon, it should be quite the show. And we do have a little bit of cosmology in today's daily space weather. And we'll be getting to it in a minute. First, let's look at the X-ray flux, which is still quite flatlined. Proton flux, flatlined, no surprise there. No crazy coronal mass ejection events hitting the Earth at this time. Next, we'll look at the real-time solar wind. And real-time solar wind showing us a phi angle around 285 degrees. The BZ component is quite all over the place, indicating that there probably is some plasma in between the Sun and the Earth, And so that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think there's another coronal hole wind stream on the way. Also, we see this sudden ramp up of the solar wind density. So I'm expecting the density to drop and the speed to rise throughout the day today over the next 18 hours. And so, yeah, real-time solar wind, keep an eye on that. And when I say ion, well, you get the idea. There's the ACE data, and it looks like the density's already dropped off according to that. Not sure if there's something wrong with the particle detector or not. Anyway, there's the most recent data from that. Here's the current aurora oval. I'm just going to hit refresh there so you can see that it's the latest data. And I'm not going to animate that today. And here we see some significant magnetohydrodynamic pressure here, and that's associated with that high density solar wind. It is at significant speed also. F equals MA, folks. F equals MA. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data courtesy University of Michigan. And no, Nibiru is not exerting backside magnetic pressure waves on the planet. That's not a thing. If Nibiru were in our solar system, even people with backyard telescopes would see it through the process of occultation, where backyard astronomers regularly discover asteroids and other objects floating around in space that were not expected to be there. Here are the ground magnetic perturbations during this polar excursion. While we see 2 north poles, one over northern Canada, one over Siberia, and a south pole creeping into the southern Indian Ocean. Next, we're looking at the GOES magnetometer, and it's looking pretty spiky here. And, oh, look, folks, I'm touching my face. See that? Touching my face. Because not scared. Not scared. By the way, leave a comment if you're viewing live on Twitch, the place where we stream the videos. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. If you want to see what's happening right now and we're in the process of making a video, why not watch it before it gets uploaded? As we have to download it and upload it in order to show it to you on YouTube and BitChute. By the way, BitChute is working on streaming service, and it's going to be Amazon, absolutely Amazon. Anyway, as you can see here, the GOES magnetometer is continuing to be very spiky, as we've been forecasting for weeks. There you have it once again. And here is the Gong 2 data, and you can see this bunched up bit of plasma moving into the Earth-facing region. Right there you can see that dense coronal area there. And that's going to continue to mess with the magnetometer throughout the next 18 hours. So it'll be interesting to see whether that coronal mass ejects or splashes back down. And if you see things like limb darkening while looking at the sun, that's an indication that a coronal mass ejection has happened. Anyway, this data is 1 hour and 23 minutes old. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can change with no warning. Here's the line of sight field plot. The last one was the ecliptic plane field plot. Nothing to write home about there. Relativistic electrons still at quite low levels, although they look like they have reached their bottom. And they're going to stay cratered here as we see, again, what looks like a coronal hole wind stream at the beginning showing up. Electron flux from the GOES will remain cratered as well. No electron flux warnings will happen in the next at least 24, I'll say probably about 48 hours until we see a big uptick in the electron flux. Next, looking at the ionosphere, there is about 6 hours of data. And you can see the nighttime side is highly discharged. That big red blob appearing there indicating an F layer, where there is no double layer on the ionosphere. So that is a bit of an anomalous nighttime discharge event there, evidenced by that giant red blob. Here's the current image, and you can see that starting to dissipate there, and that's may have something to do with the South Atlantic anomaly. I'm not going to get into all kinds of conjecture about it at this time. Next, we'll look at windy.com at the pressure maps. And I'm going to let that advance via the GFS forecast, as I do daily, to show you where we expect pressure zones to be from now until about noon tomorrow. So there's where things will be at 12 noon my time tomorrow. Some significant anticyclones over the North Pacific and Western Canada. Next, we'll move on to the earthquake rundown, and the largest of the past 24 is a 6+ magnitude in the rift zone north of New Zealand. We'll get to it in a minute. And I'm just going to scroll up the list. I would note this one. It's a 2.9 magnitude at 400 meters above sea level, and that one is underneath Kilauea. So there you can see inshore from where a bunch of new real estate had been created. Actually, I think the new real estate was over in this area. But in any case, there is a high earthquake indicating magmatic motion, most likely. Quite assuredly, actually. And we're just going to go back to the list and keep scrolling here. And here's a deep quake at Argentina, which came in only 6 minutes after this 5.2. So we see a 5.2 at Peru, and then we see only 15 minutes later, less than 6 minutes later rather, a deep quake at Argentina to its south. So first that one, and then only 6 minutes later that one. So that's an interesting progression there. Like a deepening series of quakes. And then about 5 hours later, we see another deep quake there, even farther south, but not as deep. It's a 4.9 at Argentina at 99.4 kilometers. Here's another deep one at Japan. It's a 4.3 magnitude at 172.7 kilometers. Here's a deep one at Vanuatu 4.8 magnitude. And here's the largest of the past 24. It's in this ocean rift zone north of New Zealand. And there you can see that rift, which is kind of right on the plate boundary. If not, it is the plate boundary. I don't see any indication that we would have tsunamis generated by that. And that one came in at 1 o'clock Universal Time this morning, so just a few hours ago, folks. And followed by, let's see, only 19 minutes later, we see a 4.8 deep quake north of that at Vanuatu. It's a 4.8 magnitude at 224.3 kilometers depth. And let's move on to volcanoes. While we're doing geology type stuff, among the list includes Klyuchevskoye. Although volcanic ash is not identifiable in satellite imagery, please do not pole vault the caldera at Klyuchevskoye. It could be unfortunate for your health outcome. And if you have COVID-19 and you pole vault the caldera and you die, that's going to add to the coronavirus deaths. So hey, you shut up. Shut up. Thank you. Also on the list is Mount Aso, flight level 6,000 there, Sakurajima. Not sure if there's volcanic ash plume there, as there's probably clouds in the satellite imagery. Tukono, flight level 7,000, Carinci, flight level 14,000, Popocatépetl, exploding 20,000 foot plume there. Sabancaya also exploding 25,000 foot plume there. And we see steam emissions out of Nevados de Chilean. And when you see water coming out of a volcano, folks, it's an indication that it may be preparing to explode in epic fashion. Nevados de Chilean, please do not attempt to do a back handspring over the caldera. And we've moved on to the cosmology segment, where we talk about, well, some interesting stuff going on in space. And we've updated smAshomash.com/forums cosmology forum. So if you head to smAshomash.com/forum, the first forum on the forum is the cosmology forum. How many times can you say forum? Forum, forum, forum. Because if you're not forum, you're probably against them. Anyway, we've updated the most. An entire topic just about the most in space. Why? Because a supernova has been discovered that outshines all others, over twice as bright and energetic, and believed to be by mainstream astronomy more massive. Much more massive. And by the way, this throws all cosmology into a state of flux, as supernovae are used for all kinds of important metering on determining things like distance and motions of galaxies. So, supernova SN 2016 APS, the brightest supernova ever imaged, all over the news. If you're reading about astronomy and cosmology, I'm sure you'll see an article about it today. And if you'd like to just go to smAshomash.com/forum and read about it, we've got the whole article listed there. It's picked up from SciTechDaily.com. Next, let's talk about Galaxy NGC 3516, a highly variable Seyfert galaxy. So this one is looking like it's going into a state of flux itself, coming up from a quiescent state. So NGC 3516 is looking like it may be turning back into a more active galaxy. So will it become a blazar? Will it become a quasar? Who knows? But all eyes on 3516, as a large flare has been detected, possibly an indication that it's changing look Seyfert properties, or I should say Seyfert properties, because I believe that's the way it's correctly pronounced. Anyway, there's a paper published on April 2nd, and an active galactic nucleus is all just dependent on your perspective. If you're looking down the Z field, in other words, if the Z field galactic jet is pointed toward you, the observer, the galaxy will look much brighter. And as these Z jets emit mostly protons out of them. They emit them in pulses, along with strings of electrons following them, and we won't get into the cosmology of it. But read about galaxy NGC 3516 if you like. It's on phys.org in the astronomy and space section. Next, I want to talk about Eugene Bagashov's latest video. Shout out to Eugene. Well done. Well done. This video made my day yesterday in a lot of ways. Does electromagnetism work in space? And so he's probably got a lot of people very angry, clutching their pearls, going, "How dare he? How dare he? I don't want to talk to you anymore, Eugene. I don't want to talk to you." Because apparently people that understand the physics are like outcasts. So let me just play a little clip here as Eugene talks about does electromagnetism work in space, where he critiques all kinds of stuff like, oh, I don't know, Don Scott's model, which we don't see happening in space, and oh, I don't know, Sapphire creating a miniature sun, which by the way they didn't do. All they did is created part of the solar corona. And I'm not going to get into condensed matter, but guess what? None of these laboratory experiments making an artificial sun are particularly valid, and Sapphire is not an artificial sun. While they may have proved transmutation of elements in stellar coronae, they have not constructed an artificial sun for various reasons, not the least of which is that they failed to apply a magnetic field to their star chamber, which is not like a star, it's just like an artificial corona in the chamber. Here's a clip, and I would invite you to watch the video. It's 1 hour long, and it is full of real information about cosmology. And hey, maybe I'll go out on a limb and say, Eugene, welcome back to cosmology. We need you.
More potential energy, so to speak, so they would fall more downwards.
Anyway, watch the video. I think we shared it on our YouTube stream. And perhaps watch yesterday's Daily Space Weather video where we talk about neutron star RxJ185635-3754, a neutron star that's traveling through space at a tidy speed of 240 kilometers, over 240,000 miles per hour, a tidy speed of over 100 kilometers per second, a massive radio source which mainstream astronomy believes to be a neutron star. So, and we've moved on to the oh my god section where we talk about you know what. If you haven't checked it out yet, check smAsho.org. Scroll down, click on the link for the newly unveiled Smash forum, as we have now updated the section on you know what. Coronavirus, oh yeah. Whistleblower, COVID-19 patients need oxygen therapy, not ventilator. Why? Because we're seeing some bad health outcomes come from ventilators. Oh yeah, that's right. Because what's the problem with a ventilator? Well, it forces air into your lungs, and people fight the ventilators, and then they have to be given high doses of opioids in order to put them into a medically induced coma. So I'm sure you could understand why that would significantly raise the risk factors of your treatment. And so that is one of the aspects going on here. And by the way, if you don't have one, perhaps consider getting yourself a pulse oximeter. It's that little thing in the hospital that clips onto your finger. You can get them for about $20. Just go to Amazon, buy a pulse oximeter, because the real problem, what kills you, is not the pneumonia physically. It's the heme release into your lungs, which decreases your cellular blood oxygen levels. Anyway, read the article. It's super important. And now we're going to talk about some, you get the idea. Apparently, hard times lead to hard measures. As a company known as Olivia Ocean has seen a 38% increase in its sales of some hard items since the scamdemic has begun. Next, we're going to talk about the smAsho mission real quick. It's to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. Again, thanks, Eugene. Great video. To raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems like growing tomatoes indoors, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to those their sciences, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon and not nonsense in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And last but not least, since it's real science, to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion, because sometimes it takes a long time for people to get it, folks. So have patience. I've got problems with having patience, as I have none, but I behave like someone who has some, because you got to. That's just the way science works. People cannot paradigm shift their brains overnight to understand the real physics. By the way, if you enjoy the music, we've been putting links to the SoundCloud and SoundClick page. Here's a teaser from the SoundCloud page. Have you ever heard, I don't know, have you ever heard Wind Chime Madness? Well, this song was literally written by the wind on a wind chime. I said, "Wind chime, play me a song," and it did. And so I whistled it, recorded it, and made this track. Let's skip ahead. Oh yeah, there's a lightning sound effect in there. These are the older and weirder tracks. The newer stuff is on here, and check it out. Everybody who's been listening to Dr. Steelshank, thanks a lot, folks, as we are now up to number 26, and I believe I said if we get this into the top 10 in subgenre instrumental rock, I will release it for free for everybody on Patreon and Subscribestar. So here's a little teaser for the 6-minute long Dr. Steelshank. And shout out to Dr. Sam Afif, the real Dr. Steelshank, featured in the image, after whom the track is named. So let's get that up in the top 10 in instrumental rock on soundclick.com/Golden Cap Productions. And you can all add it to your MP3 collection without paying 99 cents. Or if you don't care about that, you can download it for 99 cents, or you can stream it for the heaping helping of nothing. Next, looking at the jet streams. Here's the East, and it looks like the jet streams are not a fan of India right now, as they're breaking up and going right around the second most populous nation in the world. Perhaps the jet streams are self-quarantining. Anyway, there's the Eastern world's jets. Major concentration there in the southwestern tip of Australia, where two jet streams come together. See that? That's a good one. And here's the Western world jet streams. And this is at nullschool.net, by the way. And I think I've forgotten to do something. Let me view it directly. You there. I've got a problem with you. It's time for you to go. Bye-bye. I won't be missing you. What did you predict, Eden? What did you predict? Anyway, there's the jet streams, and we have a very concentrated and consolidated jet stream there over the central U.S., almost the entire U.S., that's at least the lower 48. And let's move on to look at water vapor maps for Africa and Europe. There are those. Here are both Oceania and the Far East. And here's a lightning map of the U.S. We were seeing some intense lightning there, off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. If you've never used lightningmaps.org, it's a real-time lightning map where you can scare your foes, impress your friends, and forecast thunder, believe it or not. It's an amazing site. Here's where stuff is as far as vertical motion in the air column. as detected by ground-based Doppler radar systems. And by the way, this is weatherunderground.com, wunderground.com, Weather Underground, named after a terrorist organization. But they've got a pretty nice Doppler radar map, so we feature it daily in our value-added services, the same way we feature the U.S. water vapor map, where we try to teach people how atmospheric physics really works, and we don't talk about nonsense like chemtrails, well, I'm not even going to go there. But check out this odd zone over South Central California. It's quite weird. There's some moist air encased in some dry air. And that is one weird formation going on there. As this air looks like it's trying to rotate counterclockwise, as atmospheric moisture areas tend to do. And meanwhile, this little miniature anticyclone is trying to rotate clockwise. So there should be some massive pressure gradients there. And if you're flying a plane across all this, you could expect a bumpy ride. And hey, Smash team, thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, adult entertainment sales boom. No surprise there. Nothing like a little bit of mail order dildo to brighten up your day. Hey Smash team, stay tuned for bonus features, not the least of which is the announcement that all of our posts are public on both Patreon and Subscribestar throughout the entire month of April, so subscribe over there. You don't have to be a paid member to subscribe to Patreon and Subscribestar. You can subscribe anyway. You'll get updates when we're putting out stuff, and you'll get an idea of what the subscription services are for throughout the month of April, where we fundraise and continue to increase the operation to a whole nother level. Here's another bonus feature, and allow me to vanish into thin screen. We're going to look at some cosmic rays. Here's the Opacity Neutron Monitor. Here's the Barentsburg Neutron Monitor. Next, let's see if Athens is back to returning data. And they are not. How about Mexico City? Mexico City still returning data. Shout out to Mexico City Cosmic Ray Observatory. Well done. Drop me a line. We'll feature you on the show. Next, looking at Moscow, which usually has a pretty big range. And they are over a month behind, not returning data at Moscow. Lastly, Oulu and DOMC Antarctica. There's Oulu, Finland. Small uptick over the past 30 there. Here's DOMC Antarctica. Small uptick over the last 30 days there. If you don't believe me, monitor them yourself. We always link to the network of cosmic ray stations under most videos. And if you just literally type in network of cosmic ray stations, it's cr0-izmirin.ru/comment/links.htm. No big deal. Next, looking at the sun to show you the intensitygram where there are no sunspots. Here's the magnetogram. And we've got a couple places to watch around here. And the sun may be forming into an evil jack-o'-lantern as we speak. And perhaps the coronal hole is going to suck your blood and unleash the vengeance of Nibiru upon your planet. Nibiru, a non-existent thing that people believe is there because reasons. And lastly, we're going to do a 48-hour video of the sun here in 304 angstroms, the fiery-looking ionized helium view. And we see some filaments setting there associated with former sunspot 2759. There is some plasma out here, and it's starting to point at the Earth. I'm pretty sure there's a coronal mass ejection building up right now. Again, keep an eye on Stereo A coronagraph if you want to watch that as it unfolds. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it. If you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. May the solar wind be at your back, and the atherosclerosis and all cardiovascular diseases, which are still much more dangerous, especially in developed countries, than infectious diseases, be absent from your health profile.